Our world is about 4.5 billion years old, and in that time, Earth has seen some seriously weird stuff. But every now and then, nature hits the pause button, freezing moments so perfectly that they survive for millions of years. A snake, mid-meal, jaws locked around a dinosaur egg. A prehistoric sea monster fossilized in the act of giving birth. These aren't just bones in the dirt, they're real-life snapshots from a world long gone. From epic battles to creatures caught in ways that shouldn't even be possible, here are 15 creatures that time forgot. Let's start off with number 15, Dino Deathmatch. Dinosaurs weren't just massive, scaly monsters stomping around. They were also wildly aggressive. Case in point, the fossilized brawl discovered in 1971 in Mongolia. Locked in combat for over 75 million years, a velociraptor and a protoceratops were found frozen mid-fight. The velociraptor, armed with its famous razor-sharp claw, had driven it deep into the protoceratops' neck, likely aiming for the carotid artery. In a desperate counterattack, the protoceratops clamped its powerful jaws onto its attacker's arm, ensuring mutual destruction. So, what stopped this epic clash? Not one of them won. It's believed they were suddenly buried alive, possibly by a collapsing sand dune. Talk about a dramatic ending. These two fought until their final breath, and their unfinished duel remains one of the most intense dinosaur fossils ever found. It's the closest thing we'll ever get to actual Jurassic Fight Club, frozen forever in the sands of time. Number 14. Pregnant Sea Monster. In 2010, scientists in Yorkshire, England, came across something both rare and jaw-dropping, a pregnant ichthyosaur frozen in time while carrying 8 embryos. This prehistoric sea predator, resembling a mix between a dolphin and a nightmare, was trapped inside a boulder, its unborn babies perfectly preserved for millions of years. When fossil collector Martin Rigby stumbled upon the discovery, he knew he was looking at something special. So, like any reasonable person finding a fossilized dinosaur nursery, he called up the University of Manchester. Now housed in the Yorkshire Museum, the 4-inch-long embryos and their mother are a chilling reminder of how brutal nature can be. Was she in the middle of giving birth when disaster struck? Did something go terribly wrong? We may never know. But one thing's certain. This sea monster mom left behind one of the most haunting fossil records ever found. Now, let's move to number 13, Battle for the Dino. In 2006, rancher Clayton Phipps and his friend Mark Eatman were fossil hunting in Montana's Hell Creek Formation when they made a ridiculous discovery. 2 dinosaurs, locked in a death struggle, buried together for 66 million years. One was a triceratops, the other a mystery predator, either a juvenile T-Rex or the disputed Nanotyrannus. The fossil was so well preserved, it still had articulated bones, fossilized skin, and possibly mummified organs. But before scientists could fully study it, the find sparked a legal battle. The landowners, 2 feuding partners, fought in court over who owned the dinosaurs. The verdict? The fossils sold for $9 million, proving that even millions of years later, dinosaurs can still cause chaos. Number 12. Oil Dinosaur. In 2011, oil workers in Fort McMurray, Canada, were drilling away when they hit something far harder than rock, the fossilized remains of a nodosaur. And not just any fossil, one of the best preserved armored dinosaurs ever found. Weighing over 1.4 tons and stretching 5.5 meters long, this prehistoric walking tank was built for defense, covered in bony plates and massive spikes. Despite looking battle-ready, it was actually a plant eater, relying on its armor to fend off meat-eating threats. Its unbelievable preservation is thanks to ancient swamp conditions, which helped encase it in mud before it could decompose. Excavating it took 6 years, and when paleontologists finally unveiled it, they couldn't believe their eyes. It looked like a dragon straight out of fantasy. Today, this pristine prehistoric beast is displayed at the Royal Tyrrell Museum, proving that even dinosaurs can get buried in unexpected places. Number 11. Tourist fossils. In 2020, tourist Aaron Levy took a casual beach walk near Five Islands Provincial Park in Nova Scotia, only to stumble upon a prehistoric footprint fossil. Turns out, she had just discovered one of the oldest trackways of an arthropleura, a giant millipede-like creature from millions of years ago. The fossil showed clear tracks, revealing how the creature moved, turned, and navigated its ancient world. Researchers were thrilled. Most Joggins fossils are much larger, making this juvenile find incredibly rare. According to Matt Stimson, a paleontologist at St. Mary's University, this fossil gives crucial insights into ancient arthropod behavior. Since excavation isn't allowed at Joggins, discoveries like this rely on nature slowly revealing its secrets. For Levy, what started as a casual vacation stroll turned into a once-in-a-lifetime paleontological discovery. Talk about an unexpected souvenir. Number 10. Snake eating a dinosaur. Dinosaurs getting eaten alive isn't shocking, until you realize the predator was a snake. In 1986, paleontologists in Gujarat, India, uncovered a 3-meter-long snake fossilized mid-meal, wrapped around a freshly hatched sauropod. This wasn't a quick bite. Since the snake had a relatively small mouth, it couldn't just swallow eggs whole. Instead, it had to wait for the hatchlings to emerge, like the worst babysitter ever. But before it could finish its prehistoric snack, a sudden landslide buried the entire scene in an instant, freezing this ancient crime scene for eternity. What's even wilder? Sauropod parents weren't exactly the nurturing type. They laid their eggs and left, which is why a giant snake was able to raid the nest unchecked. It's rare to find fossils capturing actual moments of life, making this one of the most dramatic meals ever recorded, one that never got finished. Number 9. Preserved like a statue. In March 2011, Canadian miner Sean Funk wasn't expecting to unearth a 110-million-year-old dinosaur. But that's exactly what happened while working at Millennium Mine in Alberta. This wasn't just any fossil. It was a Borealopelta, a tank-like armored dinosaur so well preserved that it looked ready to wake up and start stomping around again. It took 2 weeks of grueling excavation to free the beast, but the results were unbelievable. Its skin, armor, and even traces of its original color were still intact. The creature was found belly up, leading researchers to believe it drowned in a prehistoric ocean after a bad day at the beach. This 6-meter-long, 1.5-ton herbivore now resides at the Royal Tyrrell Museum, where it stands as one of the best-preserved dinosaurs in history. Honestly, if fossils had an award show, this one would take home Best Dressed. Number 8. Weird evolution. Dinosaurs were supposed to be big, scary meat eaters, right? Well, Alvarez-saurids apparently missed the memo. These bizarre dinosaurs, whose fossils were found in China in 2018, started their evolutionary journey as carnivores before deciding that bugs were the better meal choice. Over time, they shrank in size, lost their teeth, and developed tiny arms with a single large claw, making them look more like an anteater than a dinosaur. Scientists were baffled. How does a once mighty predator evolve into something that just digs through dirt for snacks? But here's the twist. Earlier, Alvarez-saurids had long arms, meaning they didn't evolve their pathetically short limbs until later in their history. Unlike T-Rexes, who got short arms as they got bigger, these dinos got shorter arms as they got smaller, which is about as backward as evolution gets. Nature is weird. Number 7. Fossil fishing. In Japan in 2018, postdoctoral researcher Nobuaki Mizumoto wasn't looking for anything out of the ordinary until he stumbled upon a fossilized school of fish frozen mid-swim. This wasn't just a pile of dead fish. It was a perfectly preserved group, still swimming in formation as if they had no idea what was about to happen. The fish, identified as an extinct species called Epnoturus levatus, lived 50 million years ago in what is now the Green River Formation. What really stunned scientists was that their fossil mirrored the behavior of modern fish schools, suggesting that fish have been swimming in sync for millions of years. So, how did this school get frozen in time? Some experts think a volcanic eruption or an oxygen-depleted water event wiped them out instantly, while others believe a sand dune collapsed on them. Either way, this is one fishtail that actually holds up. Number 6. Sue the T-Rex. In 1990, Sue Hendrickson wasn't just taking a casual stroll, she was about to make history. Buried in the dusty hills of South Dakota, she stumbled upon the largest, most complete Tyrannosaurus rex skeleton ever discovered. Before Sue's find, paleontologists were piecing together T-Rexes like an unfinished jigsaw puzzle. Most fossils were only 60% complete. But this beast? A whopping 90% intact, standing 12 meters, 40 feet long, and 4 meters, 13 feet, tall at the hip. Sue, the T-Rex, not the paleontologist, quickly became the most famous dinosaur on the planet, and in 1997, after an intense bidding war, she was sold to the Field Museum in Chicago for a record $8.4 million, because apparently dinosaurs are luxury items now. Today, Sue reigns over the museum, teeth bared in eternal dominance. If dinosaurs had lawyers, they'd probably try to sue for naming rights. But for now, she's just the queen of fossils. Number 5. Farm discovery. One day in 2015, a Michigan farmer set out to dig a trench. Pretty normal farm stuff. What wasn't normal? Hitting 10,000 to 15,000-year-old mammoth bones instead of, dirt. Just southwest of Ann Arbor, buried beneath his land, lay the remains of an Ice Age giant. Naturally, the farmer did what any rational person would do. He called in the scientists. Experts from the University of Michigan swooped in, eager to get their hands on the prehistoric jackpot. But here's the real kicker. This mammoth didn't just drop dead from old age. Nope. Further analysis revealed evidence of human hunting, meaning some early Michiganders took this thing down thousands of years ago. Imagine the teamwork, the strategy, the sheer, let's hunt something 3 times our size energy. This wasn't just a cool fossil find. It was a window into the Ice Age, showing how humans took on mammoths and won. Guess dinner was mammoth steaks that night. Number 4. Ancient sperm. Let's be honest, when people think of fossils, sperm isn't exactly the first thing that comes to mind. But in Antarctica, paleontologists found something that completely rewrote the record books. A 50-million-year-old fossilized sperm sample. This wasn't from some massive prehistoric beast. It came from a tiny annelid worm, which had preserved its reproductive material inside a protective cocoon. This microscopic discovery is the oldest sperm ever found, crushing the previous record by 40 million years. The cocoon acted like a biological time capsule, shielding the sperm and keeping it intact for millennia. And before you ask, no, it's not visible to the naked eye. Scientists had to use high-powered microscopes to spot this ancient reproductive relic. While this discovery might not be as flashy as a T-Rex skull, it's a scientific marvel, proof that even the tiniest life forms can leave behind history-changing fossils. Number 3. Mummified dog. In 2002, loggers in Georgia expected to find wood, not a perfectly preserved hunting dog stuck inside a tree. But that's exactly what they got. This poor pup, later named Stucky, because, well, obviously, was a hunting dog from 1980 who had the ultimate case of bad luck. While chasing what was likely a squirrel or raccoon, he squeezed into a hollow chestnut tree and never made it back out. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of decomposing, Stucky naturally mummified inside the tree. The tannic acid in the wood acted as a preservative, drying him out and keeping scavengers away. The tree turned into a perfect airtight tomb, leaving him remarkably intact 20 years later. Today, if you're feeling curious, or slightly morbid, you can still see Stuckey on display at the Southern Forest World Museum in Georgia. He may have lost the chase, but he won the title of the most unexpected fossilized dog in history. Number 2. Northwest Passage Find. Some discoveries are bone-chilling, literally. In 2014 and 2016, researchers following the Arctic Trail of Sir John Franklin's doomed 1845 expedition made a discovery straight out of a historical horror movie. They found his 2 lost ships, the HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, preserved beneath 36 feet of icy water. These weren't just old wrecks. They were perfectly frozen time capsules. Inside, scientists discovered eerie remnants, including crew members' remains, preserved in the permafrost as if they had been waiting for rescue for 170 years. The shocking cause of death? Lead poisoning. The ship's food was stored in lead-sealed cans, poisoning the sailors slowly and dooming the entire expedition. Finding the lost Franklin ships was one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of the century, a haunting glimpse into an expedition gone horribly wrong. The Arctic may have kept their bodies frozen, but their story? It still sends chills down spines today. Number 1. Backyard Discovery. Most people find rocks, worms, or maybe an old toy while digging in their backyard. But in 2015, a father and his 2 sons in Lancashire, England, struck prehistoric gold, or rather, prehistoric bones. What started as a simple duck pond project turned into a full-blown archaeological mystery when they unearthed a skeleton embedded in clay. At first, panic set in, because nothing ruins your weekend like thinking you've discovered a murder victim. But after a closer look, they realized it wasn't human. It was a wolf. And not just any wolf. This thing was estimated to be 10,000 to 20,000 years old, dating back to a time when massive Ice Age predators roamed England. Experts confirmed that this prehistoric wolf was a rare find, its bones preserved by the dense clay. So while most of us struggle to keep our goldfish alive, these guys found a wolf that outlived the Ice Age. Talk about an overachiever. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.